Hello guys, today in class we talk about the difference between would rather and had better, okay? It's very important to define and understand the meaning and the use of each one, okay? As you know, with auxiliary would and had, we can work with any pronoun, name or subject in singular or plural. I would rather, they would rather, she would rather, uh, Edward had better, Stephen and Alondra had better, you had better, I had better. So we can use both in singular or plural. Okay, now we're going to see the uses. Would rather. When are we going to use would rather? Would rather is used to say that one person would prefer another or others to something. Okay? Would rather is followed by the bare infinitive and then, okay, most of the times. Okay? So would rather is to talk about preference, okay? That you prefer something of other thing, okay? For example, I would rather have coffee than tea, okay? So you prefer to drink coffee than tea, okay? I would rather not go out tonight, cause maybe it's a bad weather, or maybe it's too late, etc. I would rather watch the movie at home, okay? I would rather have breakfast, okay? Edward can say that he would rather watch Star Wars at the cinema, right, Edward? Now, when are we going to use had better? Had better is used to give advice. It is wrong with the bare infinitive without to, okay? Follow the list for examples, okay? And here we have some examples. So, in a question, had, like you know, it's an auxiliary. Had is going to be first. Had we better let him know? Okay, and if you are going to ask with had, you will have to answer with had. Yes, we had. No, we had not. We hadn't. Okay. Now, in a statement, they had better choose a cheaper hotel. Okay. Um, ellos debieron escoger un hotel barato. You had better not cry. Si más te vale no llorar. Okay. O no deberías de llorar. Okay. We had better review all subjects before the math exam. ¿Sí? Debemos, okay, deberíamos o debemos revisar las materias antes del examen de matemáticas. No las materias, perdón, los temas antes del examen de matemáticas. So it's very important to understand that would rather is for preference, to choose from two options, a preference, and had better is for advice. Okay. And then we have more information. Okay. It says had better versus would rather, or had better and would rather. So would rather is to talk about prefer, okay, to express preference, okay, and had better, it's like should express advice. Remember that the auxiliary should express advice, okay, deberías, okay, and prefer is the same as preference, okay. Would rather or would prefer is the same. Would rather or would prefer is the same. So would rather, we work in present or future plus verb infinitive. Example, I would rather go to the cinema tonight. Preferiría ir al cine esta noche. Recuerda que todo lo que trabaja con would es la terminación ría, iría, preferiría, me gustaría, trabajaría. Por eso el would también trabaja con otros verbos. Would like, me gustaría, que, etc. pero aquí estamos hablando de preferencia. Now, in past, we have to work with past and then have. For example, I would rather have gone to the cinema last night. Y el verbo en pasado participio. I would rather have gone. Sí, hubiera ido al cinema. Hubiera, él era. Hubiera ido al cine anoche. ¿Sí? Now, for had better, in present or future, we need also the verb in infinitive. You had better stay at home. You never say you had better to stay. No, después del better no va el to. ¿Ok? Ahí no aplica el to. You had better stay, sin el to, sin la preposición. You had better, deberías de quedarte en la casa en la noche. And for past, it would have been better. Habría sido mejor si te hubieras quedado en la casa anoche. It would have been better because we're talking about past. Okay? So just remind this information so you don't have mistakes. Remember, would rather is to talk about preference. Example, I would rather read a book than watch TV. Remember that for preference we need to use than. Okay? I would rather, si preferiría leer un libro, o si preferiría leer un libro que ver televisión. Okay? And then, just to remind you that would and had, we can use the contract form with apostrophe D. So you can say I would or I had with I'd. Okay, so apostrophe D, it could be for both, for would and for had. So it says the contraction apostrophe D can mean would or had. Okay, you can say you'd, he'd, she'd, it, with, they'd. Okay, instead of you would or he had, or instead of it would or she had, etc. Okay, but now you're going to ask, how can we tell if apostrophe D is for would or if it is for had? So remember that according to the statement, if we want to work with better, it's for advice. Okay, if we're going to work with rather, okay, is for preference. Okay, it says apostrophe D, better is the same as had better. Okay, you'd better wait is the same as you had better. Okay, so apostrophe D, better, had better is for advice. Okay, and remember that would rather is for preference. Remember that had is used for advices, had better, and would rather is used for preference. Okay. Now we also work in some exercises on the platform. Okay. We are in lesson 4. Lesson 4, unit 2. Okay. Common errors: had better, would rather. Okay. And we work in some examples. Anyway, we have the basic example, and also we have more grammar information here. Okay, it's exactly what I say to you. So in the first exercise, let's say what is it about. It says, do you want to sit next to the window? Do you want to sit next to the window? Okay. Somebody is asking about a preference. So, no, I'd rather, I'd like, I'd rather, I'd better, I better. We can't use rather and better because we need the auxiliary would or have. Okay, so we're going to select of the three in the middle, of the three answers in the middle. So I'd like, nope, because we're not talking about would like. Okay, no es de gustaría, es de preferencia. So if we're talking about preference, okay, we need to use apostrophe D, rather. I'd rather you sat there. Yo preferiría que tú te sientes ahí. I want to sit in the aisle seat. prefiero sentarme en el asiento del pasillo, del corredor. Okay? Is this correct? Yes. Okay? Almost all of the exercise in this activity are talking about preference. So let's go to exercise 9. Okay, so you can see the difference. On exercise 9, it says, you find somewhere to sit. That's okay, I'm getting off at the next stop. Is that a preference? No. Someone is suggesting or advising that what? So like it's like we're talking about an advice. We need to use you'd better find somewhere to sit. O sea, le están recomendando más te vale, o sea, más te conviene, sí, o deberías encontrar un lugar para sentarse. No estamos hablando de preferencia. Entonces, had better es hablar de preferencia. Okay, had en pasado. Had better, okay? No had better, ¿sí? Had better, okay? Is this correct? Yes, okay? So, most of the exercise on lesson 4 are about preference, okay? That's why I work with this number 9, activity number 9. So I'm sorry for my finger. That's why I find this exercise 9 to see the difference between a preference and an advice. Please check this information, okay? And we're going to review it tomorrow. And also we're going to see a new topic, okay? Thank you.